Hey there and welcome back to another episode of Northwest Craftsman. Today we're going to be going through the unboxing and setup of the Harbor Freight Central Pneumatic HVLP spray gun. By no means is this the nicest HVLP gun that you can get on the market. In fact, it's probably literally the cheapest one that you can get on the market, but I've seen a lot of good things about it, and really I just need something pretty basic so that I can spray lacquer across the bed frame so that I can actually finish it. All of my finishes up until this point have been brush based, and so I wanted to try my hand at spraying because I've heard that it's literally the best way to get the best finish possible. So we're going to go through the unboxing today, show you some setup and show you some basic tips just of opening it up. Now, remembering I've never done this before, and so I'm learning in this process at the same time, and I want to share with you guys what I have learned as I was doing some initial research. But if you guys are seeing anything that I can do differently or better and you're more experienced with HVLP, love it if you could leave something in the comment section down below so that I can learn and get better and eventually help you guys learn and get better in the process. So, all right, thank you guys. Here we go. The HVLP gun that I chose was the Harbor Freight Central Pneumatic HVLP gun. Now, the reason I chose this primarily is because it was $15 on sale, and it got me basically into the market. By no means is this the nicest HVLP gun that you'll get, but it was something that could get the job done, and we're going to see how well it works. In the box are a couple of different things, including a finish reservoir, a cleaning brush to use on initial cleaning and between each one of your finishing sessions, a book of instructions, which I always make sure to read through and highly recommend you do as well, and then the gun itself. They even included this nice quick reference guide which walks you through setup and cleaning and all the different parts that can be removed and how everything can be adjusted. Before taking everything apart and getting everything set up, I wanted to show you guys how an HVLP gun works. Okay, so because when I zoom everything in it gets all shaky, I'm going to go ahead and just freeze this for a second. The HVLP gun really has two separate triggers, one for air and one for fluid. The air begins to flow first and goes to the air cap and the fluid tip on the inside. When pulled back far enough, the trigger will pull back the fluid needle, allowing fluid to flow through. The adjustment on the back end essentially controls how much the fluid needle pulls out when the trigger is pulled all the way in. Here's that trigger pull in action. Here's another view from the front of the gun where you can see the fluid needle actually pulling back from the fluid tip on the inside of the air cap. Another quick freeze frame. This is a pretty good view where you can see how the fan is created with the air cap. Air flows through these holes and hits the stream coming out of the fluid tip, which causes it to fan out more as it's sprayed. Okay, thanks for obliging me on that quick intro on how exactly an HVLP gun works. Now let's get back to the unboxing and setup. After opening up the gun itself and pulling it out of the sleeve, I noticed that it had a post-machining residue or an oily mixture all over it, so I went ahead and wiped off the bulk of it with paper towels. The first step in the directions is to get everything nice and clean, so using the quick reference guide to understand what I needed to disassemble, I started to take everything apart. Really the only two removable parts are the air cap, which I just took off in the front, and then the fluid adjustment and needle that come out of the back. Next up, you're going to use some lacquer thinner to give everything a good wipe down and get that oily mixture off of there, and then you're also going to clean out the inside because there's a decent amount of residue left over from the manufacturing process. As a note, lacquer thinner is pretty nasty stuff, so make sure that you have all of the proper PPE. Once you finish cleaning everything out, you're ready to assemble the rest of your gun, which includes everything that's going to come into the input. This is going to be both a pressure gauge that you put on the bottom for fine-tuning your flows and for measuring it, even though most guns come with their own flow rate adjustment on the inlet. And you're also going to install a water-oil separator to make sure that the air coming into your gun is clean and free of debris. Here's a quick close-up on each one of those components. First up is the water oil separator, then you've got the pressure gauge, and then you've got the HVLP gun itself. You'll want to make sure that each of the sets of threads are covered in Teflon tape to make sure that you get a good seal at each one of the joints and don't have any leaks. Next up, it is as easy as just putting all of the different components together. With regards to the alignment, the water oil separator probably isn't going to matter, but I like to try and make sure that the pressure gauge is facing the direction that I'm going to be spraying from. Included with the gun is a 20-ounce cup that says that it's rated for all types of finishes. I chose to get a 33-ounce aluminum cup because I knew the aluminum was going to hold up better over time with the types of finishes I was likely going to be spraying. If you're going to be using a water-based finish, the other one is going to work just fine. Not included with the gun, but something that I purchased separately, is a stand to hold the gun itself and to hold a filter over the top. You want to make sure that you filter all of your finishes before you put them into the gun to strain out any particulates that might be in the finish itself. Also, when your finish cup is full, it's nice to have some place that you can set your gun down without it tipping over. I tried a couple of different ways to record this, but I found this to be the most effective view so that you can see what each one of the different controls does and how it affects the actual flow. It's important to note, if I haven't said it already, that I am only testing with water so that I can see what the flow is doing without actually spraying anything caustic into my shop air. So a little bit more of a hands-on approach. There's really 3 controls that you have to your HVLP gun. One is going to be your fan control, the next is your needle, which I'm adjusting right now, and then the other one is your pressure. As I add more to the fan control, you can see that it causes the flow to fan out more, which causes it to be a wider distribution and thinner droplets. As I loosen the needle control, it allows more fluid to come into the spray itself. I neglected to get a good shot of adjusting the pressure, but as you adjust all 3 of these, you will get the ideal flow, which, if I'm being honest, I don't exactly know what that looks like yet. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I learned a ton about using my new HVLP sprayer just by playing with it, looking at it, and looking at the mechanism. And honestly, that's something that I recommend to anybody when you're using a new tool, is just to do a raw inspection. And if you can operate it in a safe way, with like circular saws or table saws, it's a little bit difficult to try and operate it in a safe way. But with things like this, my HVLP sprayer, I can just spray water and it's not an issue at all. I'm just going to make the shop a little bit more humid, but it allows me to really play with the mechanics and see how well it works, using all the different settings, all the different knobs. And you can know intellectually what the different knobs do, but getting a feel for what it does goes a long way. So I know that not all of the sprays that I'm going to be doing, not all of the sprays that I'm going to have are going to be as thin as water is, but it at least gives me a feel for the mechanics for what happens with everything, with every single one of the adjustments. So hope that you guys learned something. I know that I need to do a little bit more research about what is the optimal flow and what does the optimal spray look like when I'm trying to spray lacquer, so that I don't have to blow through a bunch of lacquer and trying to finish it. But one of the other things that I noticed is I barely went through any of the water that was in the 33-ounce canister I had. I think in all of the testing that I did this evening, I only went through about half of it. So I don't think that I'm going to be blowing through a whole bunch of my lacquer when I try to go do the actual bed frame itself, which is a good thing. It's going to be really nice, and I think that I'm going to be able to save more than I expected to, unless I need to adjust how much is actually coming out and I'm actually underdosing by quite a bit. So at any rate, lots more research necessary. I will make sure to keep you guys posted as I learn more. And of course, you guys will see me finishing the bed frame, and there will be a ton of learning involved with that. So we'll see how well that goes. So thank you guys again for joining. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. And if you like the kind of videos that we're putting out here at Northwest Craftsman, we would love a thumbs up on the video or a subscription to the channel. I'm loving seeing our channel growing and just loving the community that we have of seeing people asking questions, answering questions. It's really, really great. And I really appreciate having you guys around. So if you want to join that, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys very much. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.